Hey, 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 how are you? It's the one, the only natural lady boss, L Boogie. I had some technical difficulties, of course, with the tablet. I don't know what's going on. It was good yesterday when I did my live for um the 800 call, but of course today it wants to be all crazy. So now I had to jump on my phone real quick, but thank you, thank you, thank you for joining me today. And as you can see, we are going on to the final day of this 3-part series where we're talking about child support. Hey Shannon, thank you for joining, Queen. I so appreciate you. I cannot wait till we finally get to see each other. It's been forever, ever. But if this is your first time joining me here on Facebook, I'm letting you know that I'm also over here on Periscope. So you see me looking at two screens. From time to time, I'm actually like trying to do everything right now. Get my light, see if I get that. Okay, yeah. So now we good. So yes, final day. I done did 3-part series of this and it's been phenomenal. I loved it. People have gotten so much information from it. Like I said, talking about child support, and it's so crazy because with everything that's going on, people have been possibly behind in their child support payments, right? You know, men and women have lost jobs and things like that, been put on leave from work, whether it's furloughed, whether it's they've been laid off for their job temporarily to file unemployment, and then now you have people where the jobs aren't calling them back. There's reasons behind that too, and I think I might have to do a topic on that because people just seem to. Never mind. We talking about child support today. That's what we're talking about. We're talking about, does child support affect credit scores? Now, you had to know that all of this was going to wrap up together to come into what exactly I've been doing for almost 6 years, being a personal and business credit consultant, right? So, the ultimate question, we're going to jump right into it, right? The ultimate question, will child support payments affect my credit? So I have a comment over here on Facebook, and one of the queens, Shannon, said that Mississippi is stupid when it comes to child support. I know. I'm my mom is from Mississippi. I have family in Mississippi right now, and yes, I hear the horror stories when it comes to child support in Mississippi. We know it's a whole lot of other stuff that goes on in Mississippi, but when it comes to child support, it is crazy. And I know Mississippi's not the only state. It's so many others that have like crazy laws that when it comes to child support, it's just like unbelievable. But that's why I made the topic, child support is needed for the child or the children. What are you doing? Plain and simple, what are you doing? But will child support payments affect your credit score? That's the ultimate question. So listen to this. In a 2015 NPR report, more than $113 billion in child support debt was owed in the U.S. That is crazy. And the debt doesn't just affect those who are waiting on child support checks. So, delinquent child support can get listed as a trade line. So, there you go. Or an account on your credit report. So, if you don't know, trade lines help you build your credit score. But when it comes to delinquent child support, it can be reported as a trade line. And when it's a negative, which delinquent means negative, so to speak, that is a negative on your credit report. So anytime you are delinquent on your child support, that is a negative aspect on your credit report. So yes, child support payments can affect your credit score. It is reported by the credit bureaus directly by the municipality or agency collecting the debt. It's a lot of notes here. Let me tell you, it's a lot of notes here. We're going to go in with this. Having unpaid child support on your record can have a substantial negative effect on your credit score. So, if you didn't think having, not making your child support payments, or not going to the courts, like I'm telling you, it's so much I found. It's crazy. You're not paying your child support, and you think, oh, it's fine, it's all good, it's not going to get reported, or you're not even thinking it's being reported to the credit bureaus. It is. It is. I know a long time ago, I knew somebody who their ex-husband actually had old child support. So the ex-husband had old child support. He had paid child support for his kids. And time goes on. The kids are now in their 20s. He still owes this back child support, right? So he still owes the back child support. It's going on. But he goes out and he's like, I want to buy a car. So he went to the dealership to buy a car. And they was like, oh, you can't get nothing because you still have this outstanding child support on your credit report. He was like, but my kids are in their 20s and they have kids now, so what am I still doing on child support? Because you never paid child support. It doesn't just disappear. It stays there, right? So, here we go. The ex-husband now calls the lady that I knew, which is, of course, his ex-wife. He had owed over $30,000 in child support. And she actually allowed them to remove the child support payment that was due to her. She allowed them to release it, that he doesn't have to pay it no more so he can get the car. What, they wasn't together. She was just like, I'm never going to get this money. And she just decided, you know what? Forget it. I don't think I can let go of $30,000. Sorry. I don't think I could let go of $30,000 that my son's father would owe me in child support because he want to get a car. Bruh, that's my car you driving. Now I'm not giving up $30,000. My son is still owed a couple G's right now, and I'm not trying to get rid of that. So $30,000, I know I'm not letting go of $30,000 in child support just because my child might be older and have kids. No, you're going to owe me that money forever. Forever. But in some states, even late or untimely child support payments can work against you. As much as if you missed another financial payment such as mortgage or anything. So even if you miss a child support payment, it still will affect your credit score. All of this still affects your credit score, so you can't get away from it. It is important to look at the specific rules and regulations in your state, as it varies by location. So some state laws only require child support obligation to be reported when it hits a certain threshold. So if maybe they owe, once they hit $1,000 that they owe back rent, that's when it starts to get reported, or if they get to $5,000, that's when it gets reported. So it all depends on the state you're in. Some laws only require child support, like I said, to certain thresholds based upon the amount of owed or the days late. So you got to think about that too. If you're 30 days late, then it might hit your credit report. If you end up 2 months behind, then it could hit your child support, hit your credit report. It all depends on what state you're in. Now, if you receive a delinquency letter from your state agency, I think it would be a good idea to contact them. Just off the strength that there's a letter of delinquency saying that you owe $30,000 in child support. Some agencies have a short time limit on how long you have to respond to their letters before it gets reported. Ladies, gentlemen, if you owe child support and you're not paying, and you actually have it as a deal that is going from you to the child support agency to your kid's mother or father, it's going to get reported to your credit bureaus. That you're going to fail when it comes to buying certain stuff. When it comes to credit, you're not gonna get it. You're really not. You're not going to get it. So, if your state allows direct pay to your child's parent, you can usually avoid these credit problems even if you fall behind. Now, on that part, it says here that, it's unlikely that your child's other parent would report you to the credit bureaus that you owe child support. But being the fact that I know so many petty people, men and women, yeah, they will report you if you owe child support to them and it's going directly to them. Yeah, they would find a way. They would call and ask me if they don't know, like, look, hey, Boogie, can we find out how I can contact the credit bureaus to make sure that this back child support payment she owe me gets put on his credit or her credit report? Yeah, I would do that. I would definitely do that. I'll have to be Miss Credit Report Agency herself because it would be crazy. Hey, thank you for joining the broadcast, Auntie Charlene. Miss Friday Goins, as always, thank you for joining. Hey, my awesome sis Shalonda, so glad to have you. Right? So, in reality, most people fall behind in child support because of what I said was going on, right? The COVID, people have lost jobs, or their income was reduced. But it's very important to understand that if you have lost your job, your income was reduced, you need to report to the child support agency what changes have occurred. Now, I've heard times when people was like, I've reported the change, but they still didn't do nothing. I still have this high child support payment, but they're expecting me to pay it. You just got to keep fighting the fight. And then a lot of times, if that is what's going on, you may have to take it a step further and get a family attorney to really fight for you. And it's like, I don't have the money for that. But there's a lot of legal aid attorneys out there that do work under child support. So don't think that, you want to pay. They say you pay for good quality work and things like that. But there's a lot of times when you get free legal advice and free legal attorneys that they fight just as hard for you, So if you do miss a child support payment, but you eventually catch up, this can also be noted on your credit report. So once it's paid, the child support entry will be updated to show as satisfied, but it will remain on your credit report for 7 years from the original delinquency date. So here's the kicker that I just saw. Child support, if unpaid, the judgment can be renewed each month. So meaning the originally delinquency date updates every month. If unpaid, the child support can remain until the child reaches the age of majority, which could be longer than 7 years. So I told you the story, right? That the person I knew, their kids was older and their kids actually had kids, but her ex-husband had owed her child support for her children. And he wanted to buy the car, didn't have it, owed $30,000. Now, like I said, it says it stays on your report for 7 years, but he already had grandchildren and still owed child support. So that was pretty much longer than 7 years. So it's real out there when it comes to child support. So don't think you can just get away with it. Ladies and gentlemen, make sure you're paying your child support. Make sure you're taking care of your kids. And yes, I know it's not all about the money. It's about being there physically, spiritually, mentally, financially, everything. Mentally, Lord have mercy, mentally, we got to be here for these babies. And it's just so much that's going on. So let's get on to the next one. When it comes to, basically, I just talked about that child support can be put on your credit report. Now, here's the $1 million question. Can you remove a paid off child support from your credit report? And I can tell you right off the bat, yes, you can. So it says, if you have paid off your entire child support obligation and the account still appears in bad standing on your credit file, you can file a dispute with the credit bureaus to have it potentially updated, which is true. You definitely can do it. So credit is only built by borrowing money and paying it back in full and on time. This means that your monthly payments are on things like your auto insurance, utilities, and phones typically don't build your credit score because you're not actually borrowing money. But once you miss a payment, now that ends up going onto your credit report because you are delinquent. So it's not that you have a Sprint, T-Mobile bill, you have Verizon, and it's building your credit. No. It's when you stop paying and they start sending you these letters, and then they say, well, we have transferred your account over to collections. Now that's going to be reported to your credit, So that doesn't mean that paying off your child support account won't improve your credit. Once you've paid off your child support account, it should be updated to show that you have paid it in full. All right. So I asked the question, can you remove a paid off child support from your credit report? Now, you cannot remove accurate information from your credit report. However, if you've paid off the child support and it's still showing up on your credit report as delinquent, you can and should take action. Plain and simple. Why you think I'm in Nove? Child support collection agencies collect and track your payments, but they sometimes fail to report your payments properly. Now, you can show that, I've made the payments on time, but they say, oh, you was late. So this is some of the things that you want to do. Get proof that the account was paid off. Before you reach out to the bureaus, get in touch with the child support collection agencies which you've been paying to ensure that the account is actually paid off. Then gather the proof of those payments. So you want to make sure that you get in contact with the child support agency. And I hope that as you pay your child support, you are keeping track that you are making these payments. So if you're paying by check, you should be getting your checks back to show when you sent it off, when you paid it. If you're paying it by money order, you're keeping your receipts, and this is even great because we actually have a product with Nove that will help you keep track of this. It's not just for business at this point. You can actually add a file on this app where you're able to put all your child support payments and show your receipts. So at the end of the year, you can show that you've actually paid, or if it's a time where you need to show that you paid off your whole child support back, or your whole child support order, so to speak, you can show that you've never missed a payment. You've always paid on time. You've paid extra sometimes and things like that. You can show all of that, right? But if you haven't been keeping receipts of your payments, you can request a report from your child support collection agency and it will show what you've paid. So, next thing you want to do is you want to contact the 3 credit bureaus to file a dispute. Now, who has time to actually contact all 3 credit bureaus to file a dispute? Hey, Anthony, thanks for joining. Who has time to do that? Because it is a lot of work. It's definitely a lot of work. You have to write letters and make sure when you send it out of time. You have to make sure you mark off that you sent it here, that you're awaiting a response here, and things like that. And then you hear different people say different things like, oh, you should have it on bright piece of paper so they can see it, and things like. It's a whole lot of tips and tricks. But you don't have to do any of that because you have a connect right here that'll help you do all of that. And all you have to do is go log into you'll get your own personal website where you're able to log in and see that everything that Nove has done for you when it comes to your credit. You'll see the letters that have been sent out and so much. It's just ridiculous. But once you have the documents proving that the account is paid off, it's time to dispute the delinquent accounts with the credit reporting agencies. You'll need to notify all 3 major credit bureaus of the issue and contest it with them, when you can do it through their sites, over the phone, or by mail. And I'm going to give you a little note. Don't do any disputes on a website over the phone. Make sure you do it by mail so you can track it. So you have your letters that go out. You have your letters that come back in. A lot of time, tell you, if you go back and look at my other lives, you'll see that I talked about things that Nove can do. But when it comes to your child support, you want to make sure that you are update, that you are paying your child support, that you are seeing your kids. You know, like I said, it's not just about a financial thing. This is for the kids. Now, I know we have some ratchet, and I said ratchet. We have some ratchet people out there who are the custodial parents who feel as though, you know, the money is for the household. No, the money is not for the household. The money is for the child. It says in payment for the child. It's not for you to go out and go shopping, for you and your boo. It's not for you to do so many things. Now, yes, they do put into play who lives in your house. If you have other kids, if you're working, I talked about that on part 2. Go back and make sure you look at part 2 and part 1, where I tell you everything that combines into calculating what your child support order entails. And you just want to make sure that when you get the child support, ladies, gentlemen, that you're getting the child support, make sure it's going to the kids. You know, even if you take some of it, buy the clothes, food in the house. Yes, of course, that is what it is. Put some money aside. Put some of that money aside. If you're working and you make enough money where you're like, you know what, that whole child support check can just go in the bank for my child, do that. That's what I did at one point, you know, but as of now, I pay my own child support. I'm the custodial parent and I pay my own child support. Ain't that a blip? So that means I pay myself because I work. I have a full-time job. Not only do I have one business, but last week I announced that I have started my second business, which I'm so glad to have done. So my son is pretty good in that area. His father pays, but it's like, you know, eventually I'm feel like, yo, that's chump change. That can go straight to my son because I'm handling all the business myself. I make sure that everything is done. My face is swollen. I just happen to see that, like, my wisdom tooth is bothering me. But with that, I have health insurance, and when it comes to child support and you take care of child, both parents are supposed to make sure that you have appropriate and enough health coverage to cover your child. So the mother should have child support. The mother should have health insurance, as well as the father should have health insurance. And both of them need to make sure that your son, daughter, or your kids are on your health insurance because it covers everybody. So if the child is with their mother or the father, whoever has custody, God forbid if something happens and their health insurance doesn't cover, the child has backup health insurance to cover more, and you're not paying out of pocket for something that could have been covered by health insurance. There was a time when my son's father didn't have a job, so he wasn't paying any child support, and he didn't have any health insurance on his own. But luckily, thank God, I had a job and I had health insurance because my son had dislocated his knee. So I was able, my insurance paid for everything. You know, I did have out-of-pocket expense. I talked about this before in one of the lives, I think part 1, I talked about it, where he had to have a knee mobilizer once they put it back in place. Once they put his knee back in place, he had to have a knee mobilizer so it didn't shift anymore, and I had to pay for physical therapy 3 times a week. Like, all of that I had to pay for. But if we didn't have health insurance, if I didn't have a job, it would have been a real struggle. So just make sure that you are up to date on your child support. You know, like I said, if you need to get in contact with an attorney, look at legal aid, because there are legal aid attorneys, as I said, that do handle child support cases. It's not all about criminal cases. They have legal aid for all types of topics. You just have to find it. You can't be lazy when it comes to your money, so to speak. Like when it comes to your life, you can't be lazy. And you should not at all, no way, shape, or form, be lazy when it comes to your children. Excuse me. You should not be lazy at all when it comes to your kid. You want your child to have the best. You want your child to have what life has to offer. If the other non-custodial parent is not stepping up to the plate to do it, then you got to make sure they do it. Now, of course, there's tons of other factors that come into play. Somebody will say that you need to make sure that you go and have a DNA test, or what Medea used to say, go contact Dana. Go contact Dana and make sure you get a DNA test, instead of having kids out there not knowing if and when you are a father, you're not the father, but then you find out years later. And sometimes I just feel like punching people in their throat when I just hear certain stuff. It's like, really? You know, you tell somebody, oh, that's not my kid. You see the kid, and then the kid grow up looking just like the person. It's like, no, that's not my kid. But they're out there taking care of somebody else, or a woman is, you know, she left her kids with their father, and she's out there being a supermodel. We're going to say she's being a supermodel. And it's just crazy to see that, but you won't take care of your own kids. Like, you won't see your kids. If you do, it's like a high and a buy, and, you know, I got to dip and move and things like that because I'm on to something better. No, you had these children. You had these kids. You need to make sure that your children are well taken care of. Now, it doesn't matter what happens between you and your ex. You know, I mean, of course, there's circumstances that state, you know, God forbid, if there's abuse involved and things like that, then of course, no, you have no right to see anybody, but you better make sure them child support payments get paid. When your child get older, if the child feels like they want to have a relationship with you, give them that opportunity to have a relationship with you. Let them see you for you. I know I see mine, and my biological, no, I do not have a relationship with anymore. He's in Costa Rica, I guess, living life. It must be nice. But you know, I have my close-knit family that I have plenty of support with, and I'm grateful to have them. But you know, I'm not over it, because it still kind of bothers me at times. But it's like, you know, what's going to happen, God forbid, when you need your kids? You know, like, are you just going to fly back in and say, hey, you know, I'm sorry I wasn't around for so long, but I need your help. Help me. If anybody knows me, especially my brothers, and me and my brothers are just alike, you kind of know what we're going to do, what we're going to say. But I want to thank you all so much for joining me today. Make sure, if this is your first time if you only seen part 3, I want you to go back and check on my timeline, and you'll see part 1, part 2, and part 3, and go in order. Make sure you share this broadcast. Make sure you have a watch party with this, because so many people just don't understand when it comes to child support. You know, just the basics of child support, all the way to what I just talked about today, that child support can be reported to your credit report, but it also can be removed once you pay it. So don't think that you're not going to pay child support and then you're going to call the credit bureaus and say, oh, I need that removed from my credit report because I want to buy a car or I want to buy a house or whatever the case. No, you still have to pay the child support off, but you can have it removed from your credit report. Here at Nove, we have a testimony. We have testimony stating where the child support was removed from somebody's credit report, and Nove was able to make it happen. So don't let anybody tell you, you know, oh, that's why it's going to stay on your credit report forever and ever. No. Once you pay off your back child support, it can be removed from your credit report. But you have to make sure you do the work and make sure you contact me if it's me who you need help with, or whoever of the Novate Money affiliates who shared this broadcast, ask them about how you can get help with your child support. And just before I end it, maybe you are behind in your child support payments and you're not working right now. Novate could help you with payments to pay your child support. It's a win-win situation when you think about it. So you end up, it's a win-win-win situation. You end up starting a business, for one. You end up making money, so you're paying your own bills. And on top of that, you get to end up paying your child support on top of that. Win-win-win situation. So, thank you again. It is Wednesday, Win It Wednesday, and I just had to go head on in and get this going because tomorrow I have a whole lot to do. Not even. Tonight I have a whole lot to do. Tomorrow we going to start off the weekend right. I will be back here possibly on Sunday. I don't know where I'll be at, but I'm going to do a quick live on Sunday. I'll look up something to do, something to talk about. If you got any ideas for a topic, something that you want me to talk about, something, information that you want to hear, whether it's credit related, single parent related, credit, business, let me know. Drop it here or inbox me and I'll definitely do some research and I'll bring it to the masses. You guys have a great evening. Thank you for joining me. Make sure you share this broadcast. If you're catching the replay, good morning, good afternoon, good night. And make sure you hashtag replay gang. The Phoenix is out. Peace.